You're listening to an All Games Radio Network broadcast of AllGames.com.
AllGames.com.
Hi, this is Normie from Knuckleballer Radio and Zombie Cast, and you're listening to one of my favorite shows on the Geeky Antics Network. Don't forget to check out the rest of the gang over at geekyantics.net. Warning, there might be rants and food ahead and possibly inappropriate behavior. Don't tell anybody though.
What's up, guys? Yomar here, aka YogiZilla. I just have a real quick call to action today. If you want to support the Geeky Antics Network, it's a really simple thing you could do. We give you a few links, and all you gotta do is click on them, share them, like them. You do all the social media stuff. Ideally, buy something, but it's not required of you. Of course, this is just a way to help our sponsors out and help us pay our bills, and we just humbly ask that you share these links as much as you can. No pressure, but we would greatly appreciate it. I mean, we get it. Lots of people don't have money these days, disposable income, what is that? So donating is not always a thing, but clicking links and sharing stuff on social media, I think everybody could do that. So the links are very simple. They all start with geekyantics.net/whatever, right? So one is geekyantics.net/shinyprints. The other one is geekyantics.net/weddings. And then we have geekyantics.net/Martin Septic. And if you just share those and tell some friends, check them out, see what's out over there. And if you like what you see, definitely spread the word. I'm sure you know at least 5 people that might be at least mildly interested. We'd greatly appreciate it. Thanks so much, guys.
You're about to listen to the Timey-Wimey Tea Time Podcast, a geekyantics.net and allgames.com production. Find out what everyone's talking about. The Doctor, of course. Doctor Who? Exactly, that Doctor. Join us live at www.twitch.tv/geekyantics. That's GeeKyantics. Hang out with us, ask questions, laugh, and have at it. We can't wait to hear what's on your minds and hearts.
Tiny, whiny tea time.
Greetings and welcome to Timey-Wimey Tea Time, where friends gather to talk about all things Doctor Who, sci-fi, fantasy, zombies, creativity, and geekdom as a whole. Before we get into the tea time discussions, let's do some introductions as we always do. No surprises here if you've been along for the ride from the beginning. In the words of Stan Farina, author, friend, and former co-host, I'm Yomar Lopez, known throughout the interwebs and sometimes the Hoovers as YogiZilla. Friends IRL call me Yogi, so then they call me Yogi Bear. True story. But Yogi Bear's copyrighted, so I do not own that. Hanna-Barbera, shout out. What up? Also, as our old friend Stan has been known to say, I'm a gamer, a dreamer, an author of silliness, a disgruntled techie, a wild-eyed entrepreneur, and a fistful of happy emoji kinds of sunshine. I ran into the battle upon a glittering My Little Pony. Out of my mouth come laughing swords of peppermint and ginger. And it's so appropriate when during winter time, I feel, especially, Christmas time. We're not at Christmas time anymore, but we can keep the spirit going, why not? But above all, I hope that we can become friends as we embark upon a journey through time and space, the human condition, and merriment/bantering. So today is January 23rd, 2016, and this is episode 44 of Timey Wimey Tea Time. And today we are joined by our co-host, our new co-host. Well, not new, but the co-host that makes it when he can, whenever he figures out his TARDIS, and that's Oolong, aka Fatal Blades.
What's going on, everybody?
Oh, hello there.
I'm hoping my internet sets with me through this, because with all the snow and the ice, it is acting really bad right now.
I was really worried about that myself. Georgia is not equipped for snow. We do well with tornadoes and hurricanes, but snow, that's the one that just baffles everyone. And last couple of times we had any kind of snowfalls, we had power outages. And the last one, we were out without power for like a week. Good times.
Oh, yeah.
Good to have a generator. I've always wanted to invest in one, but I just know the way my family is. Someone will get a cockamamie idea. Something bad will happen, and I don't want to introduce new variables. I get scared. I mean, it's bad enough, the lawnmower is kept inside the house because we're worried someone might break in and take it easily if we do anything else.
Oh, yeah.
And that's not a good thing to do because, it's gas powered. So,
Oh, Lord.
Kind of playing Russian roulette with that one.
Just a little bit.
Just a little bit. You got to do what you got to do. We live in a good neighborhood, but there are some people that we just are a little questionable at times. We're like, let's keep the honest people honest. I don't know. I generally get along with everyone, but then there's a part of me that's salty and doesn't trust anyone at the same time.
You're like, I trust people, but you punk kids, get off my lawn.
Exactly. Yeah. Just gotta keep honest people honest. That's all it is. Don't tempt them. But folks, if you're new to the show, just a quick heads up. This is one of the shows on All Games and Geeky Antics networks that we keep it clean and family friendly for the most part. We don't drop any bad language. Maybe some words that are allowed at least on over the air, broadcast television. But other than that, we keep it very accessible. That's a good thing to share. So what you been up to, man?
We try our best.
We do try our best. Yeah. But what you been up to, man? What's been up to since what was the last episode we did? 3 episodes ago, so about 6 weeks ago.
Yeah. I wound up after we talked about all of that. I of course binged all of the entire series of Doctor Who.
Series 9?
Yeah, because I wasn't caught up at the time.
Oh.
But after we had talked about it, I basically, my next 2 days off work, I turned around and just binged the whole thing.
Okay. So we're gonna have to squeeze in some Who banter then.
There will have to be a little bit, yes. Because I will say, for as much as I gave a hard time to Capaldi, he's converted me. Over Series 9, he converted me. I am a believer in Capaldi.
Ooh, I'm glad to hear it. I'm putting here Oolong's thoughts, because we share our show notes now with all of the world. So Oolong's thoughts, wow, can't talk, on Doctor Who Series 9. Finally, a Capaldi believer. Which, sadly, this is supposed to be, Series 10 is supposed to be his last.
Great, just as I start liking him.
I don't know what it is. This whole thing, it's like there's a curse, and the actors are aware of it, because somewhere along the line, I think it was Peter Davidson that first started perpetuating the whole thing. He said, look, if you want to have a career, 3 years as the Doctor and then move on. 3 years tops.
Yeah. Man. Moffat is just starting to R.R. Martin all my favorite Doctors.
Pretty much.
Like, oh, what? You're really liking Capaldi now? Quickly, regenerate him.
Well, I think outside of Eccleston, I think most of the people have left on their own terms, and not because of Muppet. Maybe he was a factor, but I think it's just that whole thing where they feel like I don't want to be Michael Keaton / Batman. You know? That whole situation. Like I don't want to be Michael Keaton as Batman for the rest of my life. You know, I don't want this to be my character that I'm known as. And I don't know. It's weird too because a lot of the people that have played the Doctor have claimed to be huge fans. Though, like especially in the Nuvi and stuff. The only person that has said that they never were really a fan, I think, was Matt Smith, right?
Yeah.
Interesting. And everyone else at least claims to be a huge fan. Now, Peter Capaldi, I believe, because he said he was part of the fan club and he has little fun stories to share. Apparently, he wrote into the BBC at one point and he got a letter back. And little funny stories like that he shares during his interviews. But sometimes it feels like some folks just say it for the heck of it. Do you think David Tennant was a real huge Doctor Who fan like he says he was?
I feel like he was, although just by the way he kind of, the Doctor played out, because I feel like each person kind of gives a bit of themselves into their Doctor Who role when they play it. I feel like he may have been more of the Tom Baker Doctor Who fan, like the goofier kind of, more lighthearted. I mean, he had his serious moments and he had the pouty face, but for the most part, he was very lighthearted, very comical with the role. And so I think that translates from being kind of an older Baker and Jelly Baby kind of fan.
I think he was the perfect blend of silly and serious. Like Tom Baker. Tom Baker definitely brought that lighthearted whimsy to the role, but his stories were very serious, and when he needed to be serious, he brought it. He brought it good.
Oh yeah.
All right, so I'm putting some extra notes here as I think of them. All right. Did you have a chance to look at the show notes? I kind of did a bunch of changes last night.
I checked them out this morning. Actually, I've been up for a while.
Cool.
Kind of chilling, looking over these.
Yeah, kind of what I'm doing with this show is just kind of speaking more from the heart. That's what I want us to do. Whether we have guests or whatever. Like a little casual conversation about things that we've been thinking about lately, especially as they relate to the creative process and fandoms and such. Of course, Doctor Who.
Of course.
Yeah, so kind of what usually I don't plan things ahead. I'll have some general idea where I want to go with it, but then usually the day before, I'm like, you know what, this has really been on my mind. I think other people have been thinking about this too. Let's talk about that. And it's definitely going to be the case today because we actually have a bit of an overall theme. Yeah, a little bit of an underlying theme going on. So let's jump into it. This is our intergalactic star map, and this is where we kind of just plot out the things we plan to visit or revisit this show. So in the first segment, before we go deeper, just want to highlight one thing amongst other things, mostly housekeeping and whatnot. We have a new voicemail / SMS line. So you could leave us voicemail messages or text us. And it's more convenient, obviously, if you're in the United States. But you can use VoIP, but there's ways to interact with that. And I find it a more convenient way for people internationally to take advantage of that. So stay tuned. I'll figure something cool there. So you'll have to get crazy charges. I mean, but VoIP is probably your best bet. Skype or some internet calling kind of thing, or internet texting. There are texting apps that you could use. That's probably a good idea. You could just set those up on your mobile device of choice. I don't know if there's any on the desktop. I'm sure there's websites that let you do that and text that way. So we probably should find some of those solutions that are trusted and share those. So you can at least text us if you don't feel like emailing. A little more convenient, right?
Yeah.
In our creative corner, we'll talk a little bit about character development and the whole notion of anti-heroes, heroes versus villains type of things. And of course, we'll have our TWTT word of the day. Then we'll have Who Knew. We got some sad news and some good news, some happy news, some deals, some gaming news, etc., etc. Then in Who Banter, Oolong's going to be put on the spot to share his take on Series 9, since you've heard enough from me about it. I'm actually really excited to hear what you have to say about it. In T-Time Tidbits, we're going to talk about Jessica Jones. We just finished talking about Daredevil, and I marathon watched Jessica Jones, and I'm very happy with it. I'm super stoked about where the MCU, the Marvel Cinematic Universe, is going. And we'll talk about that, and we'll compare it to One Punch Man. So Jessica Jones versus One Punch Man. Who wins? Dun dun dun. There's some tangents there, believe it or not. And in the gaming verse, we'll have our 2015 year in gaming recap, some little bonus material there, and kind of talk about what we're looking forward to in 2016, at least gaming wise. And yeah, and then we'll probably have lots of banter. There'll probably be lots of banter and rants and tangents. Yeah, it's gonna happen. It's gonna happen, folks. So before we go deeper, well, again, I want to say we have a new voicemail and SMS hotline. That's 646-801-2149. That info is on our Facebook page, facebook.com/Geeky Antics. It's on our WordPress, our legacy site, which we still have up for posterity. And people still, there's a huge thing on the top that says new site at geekyantics.net. People still leave comments on the old site. It's kind of funny. I feel like closing it off comments, but I'm just curious to see who actually reads. Like, it's posted all over the place. Don't leave a comment here. The new article and the new site is here. They still do it. So I'm like, all right, well, that's extra traffic. It's creating link juice for the main site, which is geekyantics.net. And you can also leave us a short, and I say short, MP3. It's got to be MP3, not a WAV or PCM or nothing like that. MP3 has the best compression, I think, still. Maybe AAC is fine. At mail@geekyantics.net, or better yet, TWTT, that stands for Timey Wimey Tea Time, if you haven't figured that out. TWTT@geekyantics.net. And we'll play it live on air and discuss it. It'll be a conversation starter. There's definitely more community interaction on this show. We've been teasing rescheduling, making it a little later. But I guess for the vibe of this show, it's good in the afternoon slot. I don't know if we'll push it up a little further. We'll figure it out. And I know there's probably a new show or shows coming to All Games. One of them might be Horrible Gamers with our friend Sean Imes, and we've been vouching for him. So if he comes on the network and maybe a couple other shows come on All Games on Saturdays, because not really much podcasting going on Saturdays, but if we get an All Games live stream block on Saturdays, we'll reschedule so we have a full 2 or 3 show block on a Saturday, on every Saturday, or every other Saturday at least. That'd be pretty cool. What else? We're still doing the Steam gift exchange. We've been trying to give people hype about our prize pool during our live shows, but most of the folks that come live, a few people can actually make it live. Either have the games that are not interested in the ones we're offering. I don't know what's going on, or they just feel guilty getting free stuff. So if you're interested, join our Steam community group, steamcommunity.com/groups/horseplay, or just search for horseplay in the groups. That's the official Geeky Antics Steam group. And let us know what you have on your wish list, which games we listed that you find interesting. We might sprinkle some game codes in there, or we might sprinkle them on our Facebook page or on our VIP mailing list, which you should be subscribed to. The link, of course, is on geekyantics.net. I'll let you find that. It's pretty easy. You can also go through the Facebook page. It's really easy to find all the ways to connect with us. So you just got to do a little bit of the legwork. That's all. Little tiny bit. The free stuff. Who doesn't like that?
Yeah, and the more you do, the more likely you are to get free stuff.
Exactly. This takes a little effort, and you get a huge return. I mean, Lord Rakdos, who hasn't been around as much lately because he's had a crazy schedule as of late. He won over, what was it? I forgot the count, the exact count. I think it was over $300 worth of prizes in our super awesome our mega awesome giveaway. And I was jelly because I wanted to keep some of those prizes that were given to us for the purpose of the giveaway. Like one of the games was Sentinels of the Multiverse, which looks so good. And I love deck building games, or I guess you can't call it deck building games. Some people say, well, that's more of a TCG, and there's a difference between deck building. To me, when I say deck building, I think, and a lot of game reviewers and journalists will say, and game fans will say a deck building game is like the overall, bucket for anything that involves building decks. But some will say, well, a deck building game is a game where you build your deck as the game goes along. And that's fair, but I think deck building has become more of a general term. What do you think, Oolong?
Definitely. It's just like, a lot of people are quick to say TCG or CCG, and it's like, well, not many people really collect cards anymore. They more trade and sell them. So it doesn't mean that a CCG is automatically a TCG. And even then, like trading card games, usually now you just collect and make groups of decks. And, so, I think really people are hung up on those, but it's not. Like, it's been a while. We should let the stigma go.
Yeah, and I think it's really hard. There's more of an argument there, but it's really hard to separate CCGs from TCGs. For me, if a deck building game allows for trading, whether it's online or physical, obviously physical you can always trade, but in a digital game, if it allows for trading of cards, then it's a TCG. Something like Hearthstone, where there's no trading system, is a CCG. Because you gotta try to collect them. So people actually do the collecting stuff, and it's clear because they have their version of the foil cards, which is or holograms, which is the gold cards. They even have special, I guess you could say sleeves for the cards. They call them the card backs, and those you can get monthly from just hitting level rank 20 and ranked. So I would call Hearthstone a CCG, right? That's fair.
Yeah, you could call it a CCG.
But I guess some people would say no because the cards actually don't have any value, and I beg to differ. They do have a value, it's just not a value that.
Then other people also be like, but it's not a CCG, it's a deck building game. You see, I brought it back around. I set it up. You went for it, and then I brought it back around.
I would say it's a deck building game that's also a CCG. It's not all CCGs and TCGs are deck building games, but not all deck building games are CCGs or TCGs. Fair?
I see your SAT there. I see what you did there.
Wait, where's that from? Where's that from? Just hit my I just heard that in my head. It's from a movie or something. I don't know. It's like I'm picturing an old man going, like a Jewish guy maybe? I don't know. Just random like Total Recall moment. You ever get those? Like you just think of something random and you're like, where did that come from? Like an old phone number or something?
I do. Actually, what's weird is the one thing it usually is that scene from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2, I think, where he starts pushing the little inflatable punching bag guy. He's like, yeah. It happens a lot.
I do vaguely recall that one. Good times. It's so weird how our brains work. Actually, last show we were talking about dreams and what they mean for people. And it's funny because that's the thought I was having. And there was a bunch of other people talking about similar things on podcasts and different chat rooms and stuff. And it seems like suddenly people are having awareness like, well, I'm having certain dreams and nightmares. I wonder what it means about my inner self or my psyche, my ego, my id, whatever. I think it's always a good conversation to have. So we'll probably revisit that whole discussion. But folks, you can listen to us live every other Saturday, usually, at allgames.com/live. Let's go to allgames.com, and it's a HTML5 web player, a media player. And what that means is you could hit play on pretty much any device that has a decent web browser on it, including mobile devices. So you can just go there, and it's a little little web player, little embedded player, hit play, and then whatever's streaming live at the time at allgames.com will enter your ears in a beautiful, loving way. It'll caress your eardrums. It's candy for your ears. And of course, we stream live, twitch.tv/geekyantics. And be sure to keep in mind that some of the other shows on our respective networks and All Games and Geeky Antics may not be your cup of tea. You know, they may be a little crazy. So if you're easily offended, enter at your own risk. Listen at your own risk. But I would just say they're all great shows. I'm a little biased towards the Geeky Antics stuff because that's our stuff. And of course, we team up with All Games, and I love pretty much every show on there. But if you're easily offended, it's tough. But just enjoy it, especially with comedy. I think comedy it breaks boundaries, and it's irreverent by nature. Some stuff is a little more risky than others, but I think if you like comedy, you have to kind of just give up on the whole no swearing thing, or you can't really say, well, you can't make fun of this or that. South Park is notorious for that. South Park has no respect for anything. It's like everybody's getting it. Everybody's getting ridiculed.
Oh, yeah.
Remember when Isaac Hayes left? Because he was fine with the show until they made fun of Scientologists, I think it was. And he's like, nope, that's where I draw the line. I'm out of here.
Yeah.
And then they killed off the chef. You think South Park is still good without the chef?
Honestly, I do. I've been watching this last season, and I've got a small bias because anything that Matt Stone and Trey Parker touch to me is gold. It's like Kevin Smith to me.
Yeah,
that man can do no wrong.
Yeah.
And so when they do South Park, okay, we lost Chef. But that was one out of a lot of characters, and it didn't affect me quite as much as, I don't know, like one of the parents or something going away, I mean, and we got used to losing characters early. I mean, look at the whole Kenny thing.
Yeah, that's true. They were kind of grooming us for that. Is Kenny actually permanently gone now?
No.
Oh, I was about to say, I'm like, I don't remember seeing that.
No, he came back, but I mean, they kept setting it up,
Yeah, like, don't get attached.
Yeah.
Kind of like Walking Dead, but we all know The Walking Dead, that's Rick Grimes' show. He's never gonna get killed off.
Uh-huh.
It's his show, and that's kind of one of the things I want to talk about with, I'm jumping ahead, but with characters, a lot of times people say that some stories are character independent. And I can see what they're trying to say, but to me, character development, just characterization, if you want to call it that, overall, that's a huge thing. And I think a lot of stories shine because of the characters, sometimes in spite of the story itself. There are movies and shows where it's more about the story and the characters are kind of just supporting it. Like, I love The Usual Suspects, but I don't think that's one where the characters really are as huge a part of it. Like, they're memorable, but I think you could play musical chairs with the characters and it'll still be a great story. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But there are a lot of stories where it's usually one character carrying it. Not necessarily the protagonist, but it should be the protagonist, right? But it's usually one character that's like the iconic part of that. For me, with South Park, Chef was kind of that character that was huge for me. I mean, they have a huge cast, obviously, but for me, the chef was like the man. But I still love the show without him. But like, if I had to think of a character right off the top of my head that I relate to South Park, I'm like the chef.
Wait, more than Cartman?
Ooh. I mean, Cartman, yeah, he is a lovable jerk. So, yeah. So it depends on what mood I'm in. I might say Cartman or the chef. Yeah. Now Cartman, if they got rid of him, that'd be no. It wouldn't be the same.
Oh, dude, fans would freak out. Worse than Brian leaving Family Guy.
Oh boy, yeah. They brought him back though, didn't they?
Oh yeah, no, they brought him back with quickness.
Yeah, that was quick as heck. It was like a 1 episode turnaround, wasn't it?
No, they made it like 3 whole episodes before the fan uproar was so huge that Seth MacFarlane's like, "And guess who's coming back?"
Yeah, you're right.
Back.
It was like 2 or 3.
Watching.
Yeah, it was like 2 or 3 episodes. It was awkward. It's like something's missing here. Now, see, with Family Guy, they have such a great dynamic between the characters. You need to have Stewie. You need to have Brian. You need to have Meg. You need to have Peter. You need to have Lois. You need to have that nucleus there. Now, they got rid of Cleveland and they put him in his own show. And, like, he's not strong enough of a character to have his own show. Cleveland's show is fun, but I think he was better as part of that ensemble in Family Guy. What do you think?
I mean, it was till, no one watched and they canceled it.
Yeah. Well, they spread it too thin.
I mean, he got 3 seasons out of it, but he had to know that Cleveland was not going to carry on his own,
Yeah, because he moved away from everyone else, and then there wasn't anyone to support him. No supporting actors, so to speak.
Yeah. Well, no one we knew. We had to be introduced to a whole new cast, and a lot of people were like, "Yeah, this is too much change. We could have just, kept him on Family Guy."
Yeah. I mean, even Quagmire's hilarious, but if he had his own show, nah, I don't know. Maybe a middle miniseries, fine. But its own show, no.
Yeah, I don't think he could carry his own show.
Yeah, it'd be too much. It's just interesting looking at stuff like that. But that's it for now with that. Back to our other spiels here. So I wanted to mention that we are teamed up with the Tangent Bound Network, Musings of a Geek Network. In addition to the AllGames.com, the All Games Radio Network. We're also teamed up with AM Audio Media. They've been with us on a few episodes, and hopefully we'll bring them back. They're pretty funny guys over there. They crack me up, and great conversationalists. They get a little risque when they're on, so that might be like a bonus episode type of thing. We'll see. But good times. They're the ones that do Doctor Who Dark Journey, so make sure you check them out. amaudiomedia.com. And for Tangent Bound Network, the main folks that we're really working with, Musings of a Geek, we still have to kind of follow up more with them. And we're also part of Wicked Radio by proxy in ways, collaborating with them. I think they syndicate some of our content selectively, too. I see some retweets and whatnot. I have to double check that. But Tangent Bound Network, we're going to be doing some like crossovers, some mashup shows. So you can check them out at our affiliate link, geekyantics.net/tangent. I think did I make it tangent? Yeah, /tangent bound. Tangent bound. Or just go to our website, tangentboundnetwork.com. But, I like to use the little links because then they can see where the traffic's coming from and say, Geeky Antics, they're referring people to us, And that gets people excited. Now, there's someone message here. Okay. Yeah, I saw it to double check there. I saw something flash and I think, wait, I think I have a message. Let's check the chat. Checking the IRC. Everybody's talking about Snowmageddon. Burr, thanks for updating the IRC topic so people know we're live with Timey-Wimey Tea Time. I see Tiger Claw is sneaking in as well. What's up? What else? Yeah, geekyantics.net/tangent bound. And for all the wonderful folks that help us keep the lights on, I cannot stress this enough. I bootstrap most of the stuff that we do at Geeky Antics, as far as the promotions and the back end stuff. And there's a lot of costs involved, especially with time. It's just resource intensive. And sponsors and affiliates, sponsors as a whole. Sponsors consist of people that donate, affiliates, ad partners. All that stuff, patrons, all those fine folks are heroes of the network. You can find them over at geekyantics.net/sponsors. And I just realized I have a total typo here in the show notes. There we go. That was going to bug me. Folks like Martin Septic Services in Middle Georgia. I know that seems like a real out there sponsor. I try to find really unique people, and I try to approach, and I'm also approached by lots of people, but when I select folks for our network, We discuss official sponsors and whatnot, and who will promote. We always look for brands that are approachable. We actually got something in the works with Green Geeks, so stay tuned for that. If you're looking for hosting, they have a really cool setup for dedicated and shared hosting. And one of the neat things about Green Geeks, and we don't have an official link yet, because I'm still working out the details on how we'll collaborate together. But one of the interesting things is that they are 100% green. Apparently, their server farms run completely off of wind power. That's crazy.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. So I'm researching them to see what kind of reviews they have and whatnot, and it seemed like people like them, and apparently they have really high uptimes. So pretty awesome. So that's the kind of those are the kind of spots we like to work with. Martin Septic Services, Middle Georgia, Green Geeks. That's coming soon. We have an affiliate links there. It'll probably end up being, geekyants.net/Green Geeks. So I'll put a placeholder there in our show notes. We'll probably have an offer code or something as well. What else? Oh, and UCL, Unified Combat League. We got some stuff cooking up with them. Like fighting games, mixed martial arts, esports. There's gonna be a marriage of these things. And a lot of collaborations between the Geeky Antics stream team and the folks over at Unified Combat League. They've brought me on as they've actually hired me as part of Geeky Antics Network as actual consultant and advisor, and there might be some interesting things there. It might become more than just a partnership. It might be something where I'll make some good money off of it and be able to reinvest in the network and get people, new equipment and just reinvest in our team, like our core team at least. Because we have a lot of people that stream for us and do podcasts for us, but we're developing a core team of folks that are consistently contributing. And I'd love to be able in a position where I could, give out gift cards and do friendly competitions and stuff like that on a more regular basis. Little incentives for people, giving back to our community. So stay tuned for details on that. It's an exciting year. I've been spread thin, but for all the right reasons. So I'm really excited about it. Keeping my fingers crossed, and keep those donations coming, because that helps us, bridge the gap between these little kind of deals. Because a lot of these things take a long time to build up. And actually become profitable. So your support goes a long way. Even if all you do is just, comment, share, +1, like, spread the word about our sponsors. All those little things go a long way. So share and comment as much as you can, because those are quick and easy opportunities. Oh, and I almost forgot one of the biggest things. I finally worked out all the bugs with Facebook integration. So if you're already registered on geekyantics.net, you could log in with Facebook and link your accounts. That was tricky to do, and I got it working. It's super secure now as well. Sometimes it's so secure that it won't let you log in. It'll bounce you back if it doesn't like what you're doing. Like if you use auto completion, or if it doesn't like your IP address, or you have malware. Sometimes the server will bounce you back. So if that happens, just email us and I'll whitelist you, on a client basis. But yeah, we have a lot of good security and features. No security is 100%. So, but we're using the Facebook OAuth, their API, so it's as secure as Facebook gets. All right, so you can share your information, and you could choose which profile fields are public or not, as well. By default, your email, and a bunch of other stuff. I'm trying to think. Your email is definitely viewable only by you, unless you choose otherwise. So I'm still doing little tweaks there, but you could register with Facebook or log in with just the email address and password, or you can log in with your WordPress.com account. We got all that stuff. I'm working on the Twitter side too. I know a lot of people are moving away from Facebook as well, but it's the common denominator. So check it out. You can earn achievements on geekyantics.net. If anyone is interested in making some simple badges and icons for us, I could do it, and we have a bunch of other people that are capable. We're all spread thin. Let me know. and we could retool the achievements and have like little trophies and badges as well. A little trophy room would be fun. We have stuff like that right now, but it doesn't look as sexy as it can be. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Again, interact with us. TWTT@geekyantics.net, Facebook.com/geekyantics. We have forums in geekyantics.net/forums. I know some people still like doing that, and we are pretty active there. And I love more reasons to keep checking it daily. So introduce yourself, give some high fives, talk about whatever you want on there. And we have Twitter. Geeky Antics is for the network. I'm at Yogizilla. Fatal is at Oolong is at Fatal F8TL Blades. No underscore. His underscore is on Twitch. Yes. Right?
I am. Actually, surprisingly enough, that may be changing.
Oh, really? So you can make it more consistent?
Hopefully.
Okay.
That's my goal.
All right, so if it changes, it might be just like his Twitch, which is F8TL_Blades, Fatal Blades. Again, our voicemail line, 646-801-2149. That is a U.S. number, 646-801-2149. If you're calling outside of the States, 011-646-801-2149. You can also leave us SMS there. And anything else? Any other housekeeping? Any announcements you want to mention? Oh yeah, you got a show that you're bringing back, right?
Yes, actually.
Okay.
Man, I think 2 o'clock my time today, so that's what, 3 o'clock Eastern. I have no clue about Madrid or any of the other time zones. Yogi usually keeps up on that.
Well, GMT would be +5 for Eastern, so it'd be 8 p.m. GMT.
Like I said, that's all Yogi.
Yeah.
But that one's not so family friendly. Just a warning ahead of time.
And what's the show about?
Absolutely about wrestling. Everything wrestling. Pro
What's it
wrestling.
called?
Heavy focus on World Wrestling Entertainment this week, or this month, because Royal Rumble coming up. Things like that.
What's it called?
But it's the Not Safe for Wrestling podcast.
Ah, there you go. NSFW podcast, for short.
Which should be the first clue. It is not an all ages event.
Appropriately named. That's good branding, because it develops the expectation perfectly.
Yeah, I just wanted it to be at the forefront. Hey, guys.
You know, I'm tempted to get WWE. It's on sale at Best Buy. I think I saw it. They have a bunch of games on sale right now. I usually don't shop through Best Buy because Amazon is just so much easier. Yeah, $39.99 for WWE 2K16. I wish it was $29.99. $29.99, I definitely would jump on it.
Oh, dude, 100%. If it was $29.99, I would be on it.
Yeah, just a bit of a cheapskate. Well, not so much of a cheapskate too. As I said, I gotta stick to a budget. Got family to feed, man. But yeah,
I hear you.
We're gonna share some more deals in a little bit here. But let's jump into our creative corner real quick here. And this is where you'll find our TWTT word of the day. Sometimes you'll find creative/writing prompts, maybe inspirational quotes, introspective thoughts, things that'll get you searching your soul, maybe a little nudge to get you in the right direction, and just, overall creative tips. But let's start off with our TWTT word of the day, which actually today feeds into our overall theme for the day, heroes and villains.
It is one of my favorite words, actually.
Is it really? Look at that.
It is.
Well, this was brought to you by the letters A, H, and sometimes F, J, and S. Some people will actually make sense to that puzzle. And it really doesn't mean anything. I'm gonna save you some time. It's an abstract thought. Whatever you infer from that, enjoy.
I just want to know why the letter D isn't there.
I should have put the letter D, now that I think about it.
Like, the letter D and the letter P should be there.
Okay, so we'll put F, J, D, P, and S.
There we go.
But it's definitely brought to you by the letters A and H. I mean, it's in there. But sometimes F, J, D, P, and S. It's also brought to you by the Mystery Men of Farina, just because. Instant noodles in a cup, and FMV pseudo game masters. Two of these things are not real. I come up with some really random stuff when that little part. I've been enjoying making those things. I think last time I came up with a make believe console, I called it the Wonder Pony instead of the Wonder Swan.
Oh.
So the word is anti-hero, and it's pretty phonetically friendly. So again, show notes if you want to see how to pronounce it. Oxford Dictionaries actually defines it as a central character in a story, movie, or drama who lacks conventional heroic attributes. That's a very safe definition. The dictionary.com definition, I think, is a more complete definition. They say they define it as a noun, of course, the plural of which is anti-heroes. And it's a protagonist who lacks the attributes that make a heroic figure, such as nobility of mind and spirit, a life or attitude marked by action or purpose, and the like. Now that I like a lot more. What do you think?
I do. I definitely like the dictionary.com definition there better.
Yeah, because I think we live in a wonderful time now because we're finally seeing stories where the heroes, I mean, we've had them for a long time. Actually, the origin of the word anti-hero goes back as far as around 1705, 1715-ish, around that period. So it's been around in literature and storytelling forever. And I'm sure people have had that notion for a long time as well. And I like it because, I'm going to say this real quick. Some people might just say it's kind of like a hipster trend, like, oh, now everything's about the anti-hero, that's the big thing. And I can appreciate that sentiment, but I think it's important because now we're seeing heroes that are real people with real conflicts, emotional struggles and questionable morality. Because that's more believable. Before heroes were very kind of binary. Heroes and villains were just kind of binary things. Like, oh, a hero is a 1 and a villain is a 0. Done.
Mm-hmm.
And it was very black and white, very clear cut. Who was the bad guy? Who was the good guy?
Just
now,
like the comic book code.
Yeah, exactly. Like comic books were just notorious. Like, whoa, that's a bad guy, and there's nothing good about him. You have to hate him because there's no redeeming value there. But now we're seeing heroes that are despicable in ways and questionable, and then we're seeing villains that are likable at times and relatable. That's the most important thing. Like, characters are relatable again. Thank goodness.
So, I have a side question for you.
What's that?
Have you figured out why I had you add those 2 very distinct letters?
I have my own thoughts, but what were you trying to convey with that? You want me to know want me to say what I think it's for?
Yes.
I was thinking D as in Daredevil.
No.
Oh, see, I was thinking D as in Daredevil and P as in Punisher.
No, but those are good guesses.
Now, my other guess is not appropriate for the show. If this was horseplay, I'd go with my other guess. But what were you going with that?
Yeah, no, it's not that either, buddy.
So what were you trying to go with that?
I'll give you one more hint.
Okay.
Valentine's Day.
Ooh.
And again, no, this isn't horseplay.
Valentine's Day. Well, no. I was gonna say Dark Brotherhood is coming to ESO, but that's cute too. Now it won't be in time for Valentine's Day. That's where my head is at.
I know somewhere there's someone listening to this screaming at you right now.
Oh, I know. Well, that's just me. I'm not
mainly my inner voice is just yelling at you.
I'm not very swift for the taking. So I'm like, D and P. Are the initials? Is it an acronym? Are they
it's initials.
Really? Dark Prophet?
No.
Oh my goodness. Is it a video game type of thing? Anime?
What?
I'm trying to think what even has the initials DP. I don't know. Diablo Patch?
Oh wow, no.
Because the Diablo
What does
Patch,
that have to do with anti-hero?
well, a huge Diablo Patch did come out, so that's relevant. I don't know.
Recheck the show notes. I have literally spelled it out for you.
Recheck the show. It's something that relates to what we just discussed earlier.
Yeah, just go back and look at the letters again. I have literally spelled it out for you.
Is it a Peter Capaldi thing?
No.
Oh, Deadpool! It's Marvel.
Deadpool.
Darn
The movie
it!
premieres on Valentine's Day.
That's right, because they're doing the whole build. They did a really cool marketing campaign, ad campaign where there's like Deadpool, like huge billboards, and like it's just so not a date movie, but they're trying to like be funny about like, hey, take your girl to this movie. What was the thing that they were doing? What was the actual quote on the billboards? I know you know this.
Oh, for the Deadpool movie?
Yeah.
They were like, it's a touching love story about a man and his katanas.
That's what it was.
Or no, it's a touching love story of a doctor who gets cancer. Because we all know Deadpool gets cancer before he goes into the program and gets the healing factor.
Yeah. I'm really excited about Deadpool, but I'm also scared that it could ruin it. They've had a really good streak ever since they rebooted the Marvel Universe, and it kind of started this MCU where everything's connected across all mediums, because all media, if you prefer. But they've done such a good job with the advertising, and people are so hyped about it that I'm really scared because the bar's kind of set high, bro. And I love
have
Deadpool.
Followed it very intensely, obviously. As we know, Deadpool is probably one of my favorite comic books.
Well, yeah, you have like some of your avatars and icons are Deadpool related.
Oh,
when I think of
my
Fatal
computer
Blades,
background.
yeah. So I know you're big on it. You know,
Like I have a Deadpool Labbit.
I saw this funny discussion. I think it was on Reddit where I forgot where it was established, but like I think in the game or something, he cut his finger off while he's like cooking, and then he just like threw it in the bin, and then it regenerated to another Deadpool. And they were making an argument if like they said if his regeneration was that powerful, then Deadpool will eventually take over the entire universe, because he, any kind of, what's the word he's trying to say, like any kind of DNA that he releases, sweat and other bodily fluids, would create other Deadpools in theory.
Yep.
So
theoretically, that is correct.
Yeah, and it's interesting because I think that's something that's kind of necessary in the comic book world. You don't want to be that clear about the rules and pigeonhole yourself. You have to leave some things up for discussion, some things up for interpretation. Because if they set those hard and fast rules and end up breaking them down the road, people will be sour about that instead. So let people speculate of how it all works. Because Doctor Who has that issue. But, it's been running for over 50 years now, and people say, well, this rule was set at this point, and they break this rule now. Like the whole, you can never revisit a fixed point in time and go back into your own timeline or your own events, because, the universe will implode or whatever. But they've done it already plenty of times. So this is an interesting thing. I think sometimes good character development is also about what you don't actually outright say, like what you infer perhaps, or just leave open to interpretation. That's important too.
Mm-hmm.
So Deadpool, man, I failed sauce on that. We're talking Marvel heavily. We've been talking Marvel heavily. I couldn't think of Deadpool. I'm like DP, Dark Prophet, Dandelions and Ponies. No, I don't know. Oh well. I'm not. You guys know me already. Most of you know me already. I'm not very swift when it comes to trivia or things like that. I usually get it well after the fact. Oh well. So what else do we have here? So just back to the character development and the whole notion of anti-heroes. I think it's a great paradigm shift. I think it's great that as a whole, heroes and villains, there's a lot more overlap now. And it makes stories a lot more interesting. So it makes the stories more immersive, really. So, all our creative conundrum today is a very simple thing we're gonna talk about. Characterization or character development. Specifically, what sets heroes apart from villains, and what makes us invested in them? Perhaps. What is the anti-hero? What is a hero? What is a villain? It's a lot less clear nowadays, and that's great because that gives us more wiggle room as writers, as creatives. And we're gonna have One Punch Man and Daredevil and I put One Punch Man twice here. I just noticed. Jessica Jones.
Really like One Punch Man.
You put it in my brain, and it's just I couldn't get it out of there. But Tyler has a question in the chat real quick. He said, "What were to happen if the Doctor met Deadpool? That'd be messy." Well, Doctor Who kind of has their own Deadpool. You could say Captain Jack is, Doctor Who's version of Deadpool. He's witty. He's questionable in his morality. He's charismatic. Let's say that, right? And apparently he can't die.
But he never breaks the fourth wall.
This is true. That's Peter Capaldi's job.
That is true.
But again, we blame Stephen Moffat for the, writing him that way. Oh man, there was a lot of fourth wall breaking, which I'm sure you're gonna talk about in Series 9. I'm excited.
Yeah.
We gotta get to it because I know we're going a little long here. But see, this is what happened. We get back together and we got a lot of catching up to do. So, but there is. I don't want to spoil it too much, but it's debatable that there is an end to Captain Jack. Perhaps, maybe, never confirmed.
Wait,
and
one more time?
The Captain Jack technically isn't immortal.
That is true.
Possibly. Maybe.
What do you mean possibly, maybe?
It's kind of open to interpretation.
Oh, it's not? We know for a fact Captain Jack dies.
So are you talking about the Face of Bo thing?
Yes!
But they never connected the dots straight up. So
but when they connect the dots, you have to come to that realization.
Yeah, because he did say that, when he was like, what was he? He was a beauty pageant, a model type of thing, and that they used to call him the Face of Bo.
The Face of Bo. And
then later on, we meet the Face of Bo, and right then and there, the connection's not clear because we may have forgotten that he made that comment. But the Face of Bo.
Well, no, actually, the Face of Bo dies before the Harkness thing really kicks off.
That's true, because the whole time.
And so that happens, and then we kind of forget about the Face of Bo until he makes that connection.
That's true. It does happen after the fact, yep. And until that point, the Face of Bo was kind of almost a throwaway character. But it's still a sad moment. It still has an impact when he passes away. No?
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, because he sacrifices himself to save a bunch of people, right? That's the whole thing. So, but because of timey-wimey, Captain Jack could come back at any point. And I think if maybe this upcoming season, and I don't want to spoil Green Arrow, or I'm sorry, Arrow for anyone, but if, what's his name? What's his name? Merlin something. I forget his name. The new Ra's al Ghul, or Ra's al Ghul, whichever way you want to say it. If he dies, because he's portrayed by John Barrowman, who's awesome, maybe Captain Jack could come back because he won't have as many responsibilities. Who knows? Who knows? So back to the kind of conundrum, there's a challenge here. How do you write characters that are compelling? That's the basic question, I would say. And I think the important thing is, especially when you're writing heroes and villains, I think you just have to remember that they have to be real people so people can relate to them. No matter how off the wall your story may be, they need to be relatable so people have a frame of reference. Like some personality traits, some real life problems you can relate to that ground them a little bit, enough for you to buy what they're selling, so to speak. And I think writers have gotten much better about this, especially with the comic book stories. We see heroes that aren't just these bastions of morality and justice. They still have a lot of times they do have a great sense of justice, but sometimes that justice doesn't come from a strong morality. It's more they stumble into it, or they're kind of forced into it, or they rise to the occasion, but it's a long, arduous process. But have you seen Jessica Jones yet, by the way?
Kind of. I was gonna save that till we hit the Jessica Jones thing.
Okay. How about Daredevil?
I mean, yeah, of course.
Okay. Cool. It's fresh in my mind because I finally said, you know what, I'm gonna buy into the hype and check it out, and it was great. But Daredevil's a good example because he's kind of driven by vengeance, you could say. And I guess, yeah, mainly vengeance. That's kind of his driving force, and and the Kingpin kind of notes that in him, say, "Hey, we're the same person." And he's like, "I'm not like you," and that's finally his aha moment where he's, there's a series of events, but that's like one of the big turning points. I would say that's the turning point where he says, "Hey, technically I'm a villain too because I'm doing things for the wrong reasons." And that's an important thing. Like, you need to do a good job when you're developing a character to make those motivations clear. And that helps you figure out when you have that framework in place, like what motivates them. You understand what kind of person they are and what kind of things they're apt to do. Because sometimes you follow a story and a character does something that's so out of character, and you're like, I know this is, you're thinking about the writer, like, you feel like talking to them and saying, hey, I know this is your baby, but this feels out of place. What happened here?
Yeah, well, I think every character, in order to make them not just relatable, but to give some sort of boundary as to whether they're a hero or a villain, has to have their own code, their own moral idea that they kind of stand by. Yeah. And that in itself has to be relatable.
Yeah, absolutely.
I watched a really, it's a movie, it's been out for a while, and it really rings true with the whole moral code. Did you ever see Kingsman: Secret Service?
Kingsman. That sounds familiar.
Well, the idea is there's this whole Secret Service organization run out of like a tailor shop, the Kingsman Tailor Shop. And it's weird because the whole time you're kind of following this guy who's not a gentleman, like he was born poor and he's kind of a street tough, and he's got his own problems and whatnot, but he's got his own moral and his own kind of codes, and you see that outset throughout the movie. And there's this part where he goes through this, all this super spy training, and in the beginning they give him a dog and they're like, oh, well, you have this dog is your partner, promotes teamwork, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And he gets to the last trial, and they look at him and they're like, shoot the dog. You've done all this, you've come this far, you want to be a spy, shoot the dog.
Oh boy.
And he can't do it. Yeah. It's just in his moral code. He cannot do it. And that's where people kind of relate to him. Now, interesting fact, we find out later it was blanks, etc. So there was no real danger.
But it was just a question to see if he could take orders or what he would do when he's under the gun, so to speak. I like that. Yeah, it was
in this situation, you are pressed, you have to do this. And, how far will you go for us? And it's funny because, when he finds it out, the guy's like, oh, this is my dog. He's like, he'd had him mounted. He's like, what? You had him mounted after you shot him? He's like, no. Gun was full of blanks. He died of, liver cancer 11 years later.
That almost sounds like a story you'd see in the Assassin's Creed universe, maybe. I like that.
Kind of, but it was so well done. I was like, it really outlines the code that this character has, because like I said, he's a street tough and he's got a bad reputation. And at one point, he like steals a car early on in the movie. And as he's running away from the police, he actually crashes the car to avoid hitting a dog that had wandered onto the street. And it just kind of shows more to his character and develops him more. But it's little subtle things like that.
Yeah, that's a good point to bring up because every hero battles with the whole notion of innocence and who are the innocents, who are the people, who are the common people, because you can't have a sense of common good unless you know who those people are. Because technically, you could say if you're defending the common people, there's scumbags amongst those common people. So where do you draw that line?
Right.
And I don't want to jump too much into the shows we're gonna discuss, but at least with Daredevil, it's pretty clear what his code is. His line is drawn, at murder. That's what he won't go that far. Kind of like Batman.
Yeah.
So you could argue Batman has crossed that line, depending on what interpretation you look at. But that's for another debate, another day.
Yeah, that's a longer debate for a whole nother time.
Yeah, but and he's always kind of been that guy. Like that's something he's always had embedded in him, and that people try to influence him to kind of say, hey, sometimes you gotta do what you gotta do. That's a common theme you see as well. Like sometimes there's always the outside influences, the people trying to say, hey, you gotta do what you gotta do, so you gotta get your hands dirty. There's no half stepping. It's always an interesting thing. But yeah, I agree. Like with the character development stuff, have those motivations clear and kind of leave. You gotta have these little scenarios where you reinforce that messaging, at least with the core values, and I love it. Like all the MCU stuff has done. Some people say it's too heavy on the exposition and the backstory, but I love it because it makes it. Even if they don't do it immediately, I actually prefer if they go back to it and sprinkle it along here and there. You have a story progressing along, but then you start seeing little events that reinforce something or go to a flashback, and everything makes more sense. And it comes around full circle. It's very good packaging. So, I think something I always say is, you write a character, put them in a room with you. Obviously you don't want to do it with people around because people might think you're crazy. But have a conversation with them. Maybe out loud might be better because it's easier to think out loud sometimes. If not, if you're more of a written word kind of person, have an interview and write their answers on stuff, If you interview them and maybe within a certain context. What about if they were on a game show? How would they act on a game show? How would they act on a podcast if they were select personalities? What would happen if they try to be a wrestler? What would happen if they try to become an accountant? Put them in situations to see how they would. What happens when they're in a bar? What happens when they take a walk through a park? Would they walk through a park? The more you kind of feel that out, the more believable the characters become. That it become real people. And the problem with that too, on the flip side, you might become too attached to them, and you may not want to take them to certain places. But see, if that's how you feel, chances are a lot of your audience will feel the same way. And that's okay.
If that's how you feel, you are not George R.R. Martin.
Yeah, don't get attached to any of the Game of Thrones character. That's for sure.
Ever.
Which is interesting because you could technically say all the characters are throwaway, but there's a lot of memorable characters, for better or worse.
I'm just waiting for the day that George R.R. Martin's like, who's your favorite character? And starts a straw poll, tweets it out, everyone on the internet votes, and then he's like, and they're dead.
It's gonna happen. Thank you, social media. Speaking of Game of Thrones, Joffrey's biggest villain ever, I would say. I'll put in my top 10, I would say. Because I just cannot stand that kid. You forget that he is a child. Because that innocence is not there at all. And you're like, yeah, you could say it's the upbringing thing, and maybe you want to hate on his mother more, his father, whatever. But he's just a bad apple. And that's the thing that happens. Some people are just bad apples. That's another notion that I like in these heroes versus villains stories. This whole thing, some people are just bad and they need to be put down because they're like a cancer. But is that justice? But yeah, Joffrey's needed to be put down. Let's just say.
You're like, but no, really, him.
Yeah. For him, none of this matters. You don't think about it. It's like, yeah, no. You just gotta. What other options are there? To lock him up? Okay, maybe. But yeah, he got what
because he could escape.
He could escape. Then again, he doesn't have any real friends or allies, so who's gonna break him out?
You never know. There's always some whack job out there.
Yeah, because there's nothing likable about him. He's not funny. He's not compassionate ever. He doesn't know what it is to love.
He'd probably be like, in the new world, you get to live. Now free me.
This is true. There's always power that comes through money. The influence of just having power or money, which they kind of go hand in hand.
Yeah.
Sadly, sad but true. So shameless plugs real quick. If you don't have the time to invest in marketing or some of the creative processes that we discussed, maybe you need a ghostwriter, a copy editor, an SEO guy, an inbound marketer, some promotions, some ad space. We do all of that stuff. I've been working with startups in particular and creatives for well over 15 years. I've worked with them in technical capacities, advisory roles, operational roles. We've done stuff from how to, attracting funding, doing VC rounds, venture capital, rebranding, online and traditional marketing. We got tons of services we offer, not just through me, but other people in our referral network, people that we endorse because we work with them and we know they're good people. Go over to geekyanswers.net/services to see what we offer. And my personal site, yogizilla.wordpress.com, see some of the services I offer. Or contact me, yomar@geekants.net, and I can point you in the right direction. If I can't do it, I'll definitely get you someone that can. And again, back to the whole thing of dreams. I'm not going to talk about it too much today. But if you have any cool dreams you'd like to share, if you want to be anonymous, that's fine. Just let us know, and we won't share your name or any personal information. That's usually our default stance anyway, unless you are pretty cool with, just putting stuff out there. But we respect your privacy, but share your dream experiences. Text or voicemail 646-801-2149. Again, email twtt@geekyanswers.net. We got something in the chat here. Michael says, he says that will get to the point where he kills off every single character in Game of Thrones, and only one person left standing in the final episode. Yeah, if Joffrey's had to go. Who would win in a fight between One Punch Man and Superman? Ooh. Who do you think would win? I go with One Punch Man, because as far as we can tell, he doesn't have a weakness. So far. I'm not that far along, so I don't know. But I might say One Punch Man.
Which universe are we in?
I'm up to that I watched recently, because I watched a lot of them, but I forgot most of it.
Well, no, I mean, are we in One Punch Man's universe or in Superman's?
We're in I would say One Punch Man's universe.
One Punch Man wins.
Okay. What about if we're in Superman's universe and we fight, and he fights on his home planet that somehow didn't ever explode?
Definitely One Punch Man wins. 1,000%. Because that means that Superman is standing on a giant rock of kryptonite.
Yep. Sorry.
So
don't find a Krypton.
He gets demolished.
Oh, man. And then One Punch Man goes back to watching TV. Actually, we have so much to discuss here. I was going to share some quick news items, but we have to move things along. Because we still have to talk about Doctor Who Series 9. Let's do some quick news here and who knew. Some time-sensitive stuff. We had some bad news in recent times. Two of the UK's brightest stars, I would say, that both died at age 69 of cancer. What are the odds? David Bowie and Alan Rickman. That's crazy. And the Alan Rickman thing, I felt like was kind of swept under the rug, even though it came a few days after the David Bowie news.
It kills me, dude, because Goblin King and Snape.
Exactly.
Boom, boom.
Two characters I would say are iconic as far as I'm concerned.
Oh, severely.
Hey,
I'm going to go on record. It's going to sound crazy.
Okay.
I'm going to say it was he who must not be named. That's what it was.
Harry Potter reference. I love it. If my wife ever listens to this episode, she'll love that too. But he wasn't just Snape. He was also the terrorist dude from Die Hard. Was it Die Hard 2 or 1? The original, right? I forget. But yeah.
It was With a Vengeance, wasn't it?
It might be.
I thought because that's Hans Gruber's son. Or was he Hans Gruber? No, he wasn't Gruber. He was Gruber's son from With a Vengeance.
You're right, because
95%.
Because he had a history with
McLean.
Yeah, that sounds right. All right, bring it back. We talk about a lot of stuff, man. All right. So Normie from Knuckleballer Radio and ZombieCast, two of the top podcasts on the interwebs, I would say. They got a huge audience and great people over there. She's now getting into Doctor Who with her hubby, and she loves it. So maybe we'll have her on the show soon to share her kind of new VN experience. Not to put new Doctor Who fans in the bucket, but it's interesting to see that the new fan perspective. Because a lot of us have been into it from the beginning, but when you get that fresh perspective, it's cool. We get to approach it from a whole new angle, and that excites me. So welcome to the Whovians, the Whovian community. This weekend, EA Access is free on Xbox One, so you get to play all the games in the vault. I Have No Mouth and I Must Scream is now on iOS. Pretty cool. It's also available on Steam already. It's been on there for a while. Great kind of point-and-click adventure. It's definitely a point-and-click adventure with some very dark themes. It's almost episodic. And it doesn't require much of your time either. So definitely a cool thing to check out. It holds up pretty well, especially if you like retro stuff and good storytelling. Amazing stories in there. Best Buy has some deals we mentioned earlier. Arkham Knight, WWE 2K16, and Mortal Kombat X are on sale. I may just break down and buy Mortal Kombat X at least because I have like a few certificates that I have on there. They're about to expire. And those do expire, unfortunately. That's how they rope you back in. So I could probably get Mortal Kombat X, I think, for $14.99 now. $24.99 for everyone else. And I think at that price, it's worth it. I would not pay full price for the game. And some people are like, why are you so hard on the Mortal Kombat X? And, I want to be very clear. I love Mortal Kombat. I've been playing it from the beginning. But I feel like Mortal Kombat X, from what I've seen in the gameplay, is a step backwards from Mortal Kombat 9. The story isn't as good. They haven't done enough with it to make it fresh. And I just feel like it's a slow fighter. Like when you really put all the gimmicks aside with the X-ray and the fatalities, it's a slow fighter. It doesn't have as much finesse as some other fighting games. Like I would say Killer Instinct is the better game of that kind of style of fighting game than Mortal Kombat, and it has a lot more variety and I think depth to it right now. It just, to me, it feels like the better fighter. And I just feel like with all the monetization they have in there, it shouldn't be like they should have just treated it like a platform, like Killer Instinct is doing, and Street Fighter 5 will hopefully do. Have it cheaper or free up front, and then have all the extra content, as add-on premium content. It has kind of that Evolve-itis to it. It may just be me, but I feel like it doesn't feel that good. It's not a compelling game. I just can't justify $15.99. $24.99? Okay, now we're talking. What do you think?
I will give Mortal Kombat this. Okay, it is slower. I mean, remember, I'm like a diehard Smash Melee fan.
Yeah.
So my idea of fast gameplay is ridiculously fast. Like
Brawlhalla.
Controller input. No, like Melee had controller inputs as fast as most professional StarCraft players.
Oof. But have you played Brawlhalla?
The wave dash, it's crazy.
Have you played Brawlhalla?
No, I haven't had access to it. I might grab it.
It's free now on Steam.
Is it?
Yeah, we might play a little bit of it tonight for gang night.
Definitely gonna have to pick it up then. Man,
Yeah, it is totally Smash Brothers, but then it's very much its own game as well. So if you like that style, yeah. And the combo system in there, it's basic but very satisfying. You can pull up some nice little 5 and 10 piece combos. It's cool.
I mean, I'm sure they don't have wave dashing, but it's all right. I'll live.
There's some cool mechanics in there, man. But back to our who knew and some more news headlines here. Amazon is one-upping Best Buy by including the 20% off pre-orders perk on Amazon Prime. So now you have more reasons to have Amazon Prime, as if you didn't have enough. I'm super excited about this, and I'm super glad I did not get Gamer Club unlocked for Best Buy, because $30 a year. Again, I'm cheap, and that was a hard pill to swallow, and I don't really shop at Best Buy. And now Amazon Prime, 2-day shipping, and I get 20% off new releases. Thank you. And actually, I gotta check my account because now Amazon has a thing where you get best for pre-orders, you get best price guarantee. I already saved money from the winter sale they had. Yeah, they had a huge winter sale, and they had like an additional 20% off the game. I forget how much it was. When you put the up, down, down, left, right code, that she had that in there, Amazon. And I think this 20% stacks on top of this, so it updates. It's supposed to update your cart as the price gets lower, and you'll always get the lowest price for however long you have that pre-order. So now, hands down, Amazon Prime is the way I'm going for pre-orders, or just any shopping really. Never have to deal with retail again. Sorry. But yeah, good deal. Humble Bundle for Access Bundle. You can pay $15 or more. It helps out charity. You get to decide how the money is distributed, and you get a lot of awesome. Namely, you get XCOM Enemy Within and Enemy Unknown, plus Sid Meier's Civilization Beyond Earth. Awesome. If you pay $15 or more. And speaking of XCOM and aliens, X-Files returns tomorrow, January 24th, 2016, on Fox. It's only 6 episodes, so it's a little mini series, but who knows? It may come back for another season after that. We never know. So if you don't have cable or an antenna that actually works, which let's be honest, over-the-air HDTV doesn't really work. They said it would, but it stinks even if you get an expensive antenna because they want you to get cable. Yep, that's the real reason they went digital. But you still have options. You could just go. They have the Fox app, and the day after you could stream it. So there's that. Killer Instinct now has automatic combo chaining, so it's even smoother than before. So if you're not that good at doing the combos, it kind of helps you out. And some people can say it's button mashing, but it lets you do some button mashing while you like queue up your real combos and finish off the combo, and there's some neat things in there. So now it's an even faster game, and you can pull out some amazing combos in that game. I'm not that good at fighting games these days, but when I pull off like a 30-hit combo, I'm like, yeah, who's the man now? Half-Life writer Mark Laidlaw leaves Valve. Are the dreams of Half-Life 3 crushed? Maybe not, because they've been there's a little bit of there's some Easter eggs out there, folks. They dropped some Easter eggs during the Steam Winter Sale, and some people are thinking that it's Half-Life 3 related, but Mark said, my nickname when I first started at Valve in 1997 was Old Man Laidlaw. The little baby level designer who gave me that nickname is now older than I was then. Good times. So age then seems to be the biggest factor, though it's worth pointing out, and this is according to IGN, that Valve has not released a primarily story-driven game since 2011's Portal 2. Wow, it's been that long already, wow. A game which Laidlaw did not write. So he hasn't really been involved with anything, and I think so. For those of us, from what I've heard from all the different major media outlets covering this initially was a news item that just kind of was swept under the rug, and now everybody's covering it. But it seems like even Mark Laidlaw, who has been with Valve for over a decade, even he was in the dark and had no idea what's going on with Half-Life. Like they're really keeping tight-lipped about it. So I don't know what that says, but who knows? But apparently he left on his own accord. So, Oolong.
Yes.
Are you ready for some Who banter?
I am.
So real quick, your thoughts on Doctor Who Series 9 And particularly, what made you a Capaldi believer?
All right, so y'all know I have been anti-Capaldi for the better part of basically 2 years now since we saw Capaldi. I think actually since Capaldi was announced, I didn't like the idea. Watching this last season or series, if you will, they really developed him more. Like, I don't know, last season I felt like it was too much of the ultra serious moments and not enough of the kind of laid back, funny moments. So we didn't see any of the happier Capaldi side, which kind of bothered me because he just seemed like a grumpy old guy.
Yeah.
And when I think of the Doctor, I mean, even in some of his oldest states, with the exception of like one or two incarnations of the Doctor, he wasn't that grumpy. I was like, man, he's just super serious. And then, the start of Series 9, where it's just like, play guitar on a tank into a coliseum. It's just like, what happened? Like, what is going on right now? This is ridiculous.
Well, did you find it a little over the top, or were you fine with it?
I mean, it was over the top, but it was over the top, but given the circumstances, I could see why it was over the top, go out with a hurrah, etc.
Yeah.
And I think when we really see the whole, thing with the Daleks, and when they kind of humanize him more, instead of just being old Mr. Grumpenfrump, the whole mercy thing in the Daleks was big, and I think probably one of my favorite parts of this whole series was the what was it, the girl who died and the woman who lived. I noticed there was a lot of two-parters, like everything was two-parters.
Well, that's the way. Actually, Series 8 was more one and done.
Yeah, like all the series so far I knew have been very one and done. A few two-parters here and there, and usually like they were climatic ends to beginnings or something. But in this one, like everything was a two-parter. Even the ones that seemed kind of one and done, like with the shield bearer and everything, I was like, okay, so that was kind of cool. And then I went to the very next episode, and I'm like, and apparently there's a part 2 to this well-wrapped-up story. All right, let's watch this.
What do you think about Maisie Williams on the show? A.K.A. Arya Stark, right? Yeah, she's Arya, not Sansa. I was confused on.
Yeah. I think it's good, actually. It was a nice, refreshing kind of change of pace, I guess.
Okay.
I think.
You seem like you're a little torn about it.
A little bit.
Well, they're good. She did really well in that job, in that role, right? Do you maybe have a hang up about how the character was written? Or maybe do you feel like she was too forced in there at parts?
I definitely think there were parts where she was just really forced in.
Okay.
And there were times where it was very kind of just obscurely referenced, if that makes sense. Like, because I binge it, there were times where I'd get towards like the end of an episode, and you know how you just jump because you don't want to see that, next time on Doctor Who, because you're about to watch it.
Right.
You ever really run into that? Like, so I'd get towards the end, and I'm like, okay, I think I can. Oh no, I can't skip this because now there's this little moment that's going to mean something later, and with everything being a two-parter, can't miss that little moment.
Yeah, I try to avoid the end credits where they start spoiling the next episode. In general, I try to not look at those.
Yeah.
But
I mean, I don't know. Like, I mean, it wasn't terribly done. It was well done. Just something sat kind of off with me, and I really can't even put my finger on it when I think about it. You know?
yeah, I think they did a good job with it. It could have been better. It was kind of she was almost like the Doctor's alter ego, like how things could have been for him. I think he did a good job with the contrast, showing how much he's done a good job of maintaining his quote unquote humanity. Because we say he's been grumpy, and he's kind of bitter old man, and he is very old, to be fair. But we see how she behaves, and her code is completely different from his. And I think that contrast was a powerful thing. But I think just on her own, she was also a fun character. Just seeing how she changes over the years and they keep bumping into each other was very satisfying. It didn't feel as natural at parts, so I can see that. And it is kind of hard to put a finger on it as well. 'Cause I had a similar experience. But she's just such a cute girl. She's going to be a beautiful woman when she grows up, I think. And she's also a great actress, and I think she's just a treat all around. It sounds a little creepy if you take that out of context, but no, I think she's a great actress. She's one of the few characters I still enjoy, watching on Game of Thrones. Still one of the few characters I'm still invested in, really. And she kind of brought some of that over to Doctor Who, especially at the start. As her character progressed, she did become a little more despicable at parts. But then she redeemed herself, right? Oolong's thinking about it. He might be having internet issues because of the snow. All right, well, chime in when you're ready, bro. So that's Oolong's counter. Let me see.
Wait, I'm here.
Okay, there we go.
Sorry. Did you notice some of the throwbacks to the older episodes?
I did notice some throwback. I can't think about them right this moment, but I did feel like they did a really good job overall of kind of bringing it back around.
Like, I think that was one of the biggest defining moments for me. That was the moment I was like, okay, I accept Capaldi. In The Girl Who Died / The Woman Who Lived, right? During that episode, when he looks at his reflection, and he's like, I know now. I know why I have this face. And they bring it all the way back to the original character Capaldi played in the Pompeii episode.
Yes. And what was that takeaway for you? Because they brought it back, but it wasn't like in your face.
I mean, it was huge for me because that's when that big, I'm the doctor. I help people. It's what I do. That's why I look like this guy. It's to remind me. And it goes back to the entire, right before the transfer, the don't forget. And I thought it was interesting because that one moment tied back across probably two of my favorite doctors. It tied back across Tennant in Pompeii, right?
Which and was that was like season 2, episode 2-ish, maybe 4,
somewhere in there. And then it also tied back to Smith because, the whole I won't forget. It's not just her that he's not forgetting now. It's other moments in his history. And he's slowly falling into the not forgetting category. With all these throwbacks, I'm hoping that they go back to the girl who regenerates that we see in one episode. Do you remember it?
I think I know what you're talking about. Yeah, I have such a bad memory for this stuff sometimes. Like I had to go back and rewatch Fires of Pompeii. And even after the big reveal, I was still kind of like, I need to go watch Series 9 again after watching Fires of Pompeii, at least during when they had the reveal, and it kind of like have that full impact. Because it was there for me, but not quite. But I still got chills, though.
Oh, dude, it was huge for me. Like, I didn't go back just because my fandoms are something I'm usually always going back to, and I fall asleep watching some of my favorite shows. Even just because I can quote them, so I'll fall asleep. Actually, my roommate has heard me quoting episodes along with the TV, thinking I was awake. Would come in my room's like, "Do you want to go to the store?" "Oh, you're sleeping and quoting Supernatural." "Okay,
Nice.
never mind."
That's a pretty good silly superhero power.
Right? Apparently, I can quote lines back in my sleep. I should be an actor.
That's pretty good, man. Actually, yeah. Now, Tiger Claw has some late breaking news here. He said that MCG, who's MCG? Am I missing something? McG is going to direct the He-Man movie. I'm not really up with the director stuff, but he said that he directed the 2 Charlie's Angels movies and Terminator Salvation. Well, I mean, I think anything's better than Michael Bay.
Yeah, everything's better than Michael Bay.
So, I'm excited about that. I'm a huge fan of He-Man too.
But I mean, you had to know they weren't going to make it Michael Bay because it doesn't have aliens or Pepsi promotions. So.
Yep, not enough explosions for him. At least not enough opportunities for explosions, I guess. But we are running out of time here, so I wanted to make sure we gave enough time for some of our tea time tidbits. They're definitely going to be tidbits this time around. I want to talk a little bit about Jessica Jones and One Punch Man. You missed the One Punch Man discussion last episode. But I want to draw some of the parallels first before we get into the shows themselves, at least with Jessica Jones. Or we can talk One Punch Man, since you haven't really... It depends which one I want to talk more about. We have to lean more one way or the other. Do you want to talk more One Punch Man or Jessica Jones? You make the call. How did you think about it?
I don't even have to think about it. I've got to lean more towards One Punch Man because I'll be honest, I've yet to be able to make it through Jessica Jones.
Okay, so...
I tried it. I started it.
Okay, I think I have a feeling. Is it too much of a soap for you?
It's Grey's Anatomy. It's the Grey's Anatomy of superhero shows.
So yeah, you know what? I gotta say this. I agree wholeheartedly. Like, the whole thing between, and again, spoilers, if you haven't watched it yet. But the whole thing between Jessica Jones and Luke Cage feels very forced. Love both of the characters on their own, and I see how they're good together. But they just jump straight to the hot and heavy right off the bat, and then it's like, how did we get here? And then they kind of backpedal a little bit and explain why she kind of did that. It's almost out of guilt. But then the whole attraction is believable. So they do bounce back from that. But like the first 2 or 3 episodes are a little rough, I would say. They do redeem themselves. Like the show gets much better after those first 2 or 3 episodes. Not the first that they're bad, but those first 2 or 3 episodes feel very Sex in the City, Grey's Anatomy, very soapy, very drama. It feels like they're really going strictly for the female audience, and I don't want to stereotype, but it seems more like that's what their target demographic was. Not because there was a lack of action, it's just like, it was very, I don't know. And again, I'm not trying to stereotype. I don't hope I don't offend anyone, but it feels like that's what they were going for, that Grey's Anatomy kind of audience, or I don't know. It's just it felt off.
I'll put it this way: I felt like trying to watch Jessica Jones. I felt like it was written by Nicholas Sparks, and I couldn't do it. I've yet to be able to.
Well, it's written by a woman. So there's very, very much a female perspective on there.
Was it written by Nicholas Sparks?
No, it was written by Melissa Rosenberg, I believe is her name. I don't know what else she's done off the top of my head, but she did a good job with it. But like, You can see there's the female touch that like they really push the lesbian kind of stuff in there, and then like the interracial, encounter. I know there's in modern times, but it's almost like it's forced there, like, and you get no time to like get eased into the story. It's like boom, 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 everybody's having fun, woo.
Yeah.
So like, again, it's not that those things are bad, but like they almost did themselves a disservice by just going straight for these kind of. It felt like these a little bit of panderings and like these like cheap thrills. But once you get past that, there's such a strong story there. She's a strong female lead. But what's interesting is her friend at times, Trish Walker, is a stronger character and a more interesting character at times than Jessica Jones. Because Jessica Jones, like, the actress that plays her, first of all, let's just say, the casting, again, on this Netflix show, this Marvel show on Netflix, is fantastic. Because, what's her name? Kristen, what's her name? Kristen Ritter. She always plays characters that are of questionable morality. Like she was what's her name on Jane Margolis on Breaking Bad. A character you may have forgotten about because she was killed off early on. But she always plays these kind of characters. She's perfect on the role because Jessica Jones, at times you want to kind of just slap her and say, "Wake up, woman! What are you doing?" So she's perfect in there. Trish Walker is played by Rachel Taylor. She's fantastic. You got what's his name? Luke Cage wasn't Terry Crews. The people had originally thought it was gonna be Terry Crews.
It should have been Terry Crews.
You know what? I like where they went with Mike Coulter.
Okay, I'll give it. Dude plays a pretty mean Luke Cage, and Terry Crews is super busy doing Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
Yeah, I think if we had Terry Crews, it would have been more of a meathead Luke Cage. This is more of a grounded Luke Cage. I feel like Terry Crews he's great, but he tends to play a very stereotypical kind of smash beer cans on his head and bash walls. I don't know if he could pull off the more romantic interests and the emotional distress. I just can't see him in that kind of role personally.
I just want to remind you, at one point, Luke Cage did fill in for the Thing in the Fantastic Four. All right, so
yes,
yeah, super muscular, bald. First thing I think is Terry Crews. I mean, it doesn't all have to be Old Spice commercials.
But it's changed. Yeah, the Old Spice. Oh man, yes, that's like his most notable work, right? But since the MCU, like I wasn't huge into the Defenders back in the days, but I remember them, and I used to get into just it's Hell's Kitchen. I grew up in Hell's Kitchen, so it hits home for me. I was still more of an X-Men kind of guy, but all the Hell's Kitchen stuff was like I'm like, yeah, this is my hometown. But for some reason, I didn't get as much to like the kind of misfit crew that the Defenders are. See, we're gonna end up talking about Jessica Jones anyway. I'm sorry, we'll bring it back to One Punch Man, but I feel you. That's all I'm gonna say. I think if you give it a chance, because I had to rewatch the first 3 episodes several times before I finally got through it. And I also have the problem where I tend to get comfortable when I watch what little TV I do, and I end up falling asleep. But the last few episodes, and there's only 13 episodes, they hooked me so much that I had to sit up for it and just really lean into it. And I'm like, oh my gosh, where are they going with this? Wow. And they tied in Daredevil beautifully with Rosario Dawson. I love her character. I love her. Just gonna put that out there. I'm really excited for when they do Iron Fist. They're gonna do the Defenders show. It makes me want to go back and get into comics now since the MCU kind of reboot thing what happened. That's how good it was. So trust me, if you give it a shot, there's something for everyone here, and they stop kind of forcing down the Grey's Anatomy aspects down your throat. Give it a chance. And also honorable mention to I think his name is pronounced Eka DeVille, who played Malcolm Ducasse on the show. I like his character a lot. He great supporting actor there. And of course David Tennant as the evil Kilgrave, who as you get to see him more, again, Once they started showing more of David Tennant at doing his thing as Kilgrave, dude, I'm telling you, you'll get into it. Because I had the same hangups. Trust me. Because Daredevil's still the better show, but Jessica Jones, I'm excited for the next season. I want it. Please. But it is the softer side of Marvel. That's just the way it is. But, you know, the parallels, it's really interesting. Like, between One Punch Man and Jessica Jones, you know, obviously one of these stories is more grounded than the other. But there are striking similarities. From what I see, you know, Jessica and Saitama are reluctant heroes. And they leave death and destruction in their wake. It's crazy. Neither one of them really seem to have any attachments either. At least at first. And they end up hurting the people close to them. They're almost oblivious to a degree because they're so focused in their own motivations, their own purpose, their callings. And circumstances eventually groomed them both to become better people and true heroes. Or better heroes. It's better heroes overall. Maybe not true heroes. They might be anti-heroes. Who knows? Depends how you look at it. There are stark differences, though. You know, the villains in Jessica Jones are by no means throwaway characters, and they're much more memorable. Whereas One Punch Man, they're more of a gag, and they're not so as memorable. There's something that might stick out for you, though, but not as much in terms of recurring characters. It's more like, hey, check out this silly guy who's wearing a shark costume because he can. You know, I'm pulling something out of my hat. I don't remember the characters that well. And One Punch Man doesn't take itself too seriously, and that's the point. That's part of the charm. Jessica Jones does have enough humor to keep the show fresh and offset the dark themes, but it's by far a darker show. One Punch Man is very lighthearted, I would say. And you know, Jessica Jones has like by far one of the best villains out there, Kilgrave. Very interesting character, and I don't want to spoil where they go with that, but it's very satisfying the way it all culminates. But since you are not big on Jessica Jones, we drew the parallels. But what do you think about One Punch Man in terms of heroes and villains? Anything in particular that stood out for you?
It's awesome.
All right.
Yeah, like the end. That's all it needs.
Oh,
it's
God.
Awesome. If you haven't seen it, see it.
Well, last show, what I talked about was some of the stuff, like the silly stuff, like when he's trying to defeat the mosquito, and the mosquito gives him a run for the money.
Oh, that mosquito.
Oh, yeah. And how he's a reluctant hero, and he's reluctantly become sensei. You know, he's got a sidekick. What's his name? Genos, right?
Yeah.
What's your favorite like enemy that he's encountered so far?
Other than the mosquito?
Yeah.
How far are you in the series?
I'm rewatching and I'm up to like I remember as far as 7 in the main series. That's what's clear in my mind right now.
I can't tell you.
What about up until that point? It's alright. You know, it's alright if you spoil it for me.
I'm just gonna say this.
Okay.
Episode 10.
Okay. That's
all I'm gonna say. You gotta watch it. Episode 10.
So when we get together again, we'll talk about it.
And don't just skip to episode 10. Watch all the way up episode 10.
Well, what about the genetic scientist? Did you like him as a villain? The one that created the kind of all these weird mutations, and they come to get One Punch Man. Remember that? Then they take the fight to his base, and that's what gets the attention of the Hero Association. But they credit Genos. Like I love this whole thing where Genos is getting all the credit, but One Punch Man is obviously stronger, but Genos is cooler. And then like all the forums people are on the show are saying, oh, I hear that One Punch Man isn't really that strong. He's always stealing other heroes' credit. Like, it's great. Like, that whole thing. We gotta talk about some of the villains, though. Like, there gotta be some other villains that stood out for you. Stick to episode 10? Okay, we'll stick to episode 10. If you think of any...
Just wait, homie.
Okay, all right. I'm really looking forward to someone that can give him a run for his money. And it's funny because like the whole notion is, it sounds boring. Like if you can beat everybody one punch, what kind of conflict do you have? Oh, they got it, and it's not just internal, but it's mostly internal, at least in the beginning. And I like that. Like I like the fact that he was reluctant at first, and he was just kind of doing it for funsies. You know, and you do get heroes who just kind of stumble into it, and they're like, oh, this is pretty cool. And you're like, well, what does he want? Notoriety? Does he have a strong sense of justice?
Yeah.
It does seem like he's very driven by getting the credit, and it's like bugging him like that he's not ranked higher. Like they ranked him class C hero. He's got a quota. He's got to do so many jobs a week to keep his license active.
Yeah, he's a grunt.
Oh, it's great. Very fun. But we'll wrap it up with some quick. We got about 5 minutes left to just put some stuff out there real quick. So I know we didn't really get into the gaming verse today, but we did talk about our favorite games that we played in 2015, not necessarily that we released in 2015. I just want to share some quick underdog picks. Oolong, do you have any underdog picks or games that you think are just underrated or sleeper hits, little hidden gems maybe?
In 2015?
That you played in 2015, yeah.
I would say Numa Breath of Life was really amazing. I only played it because it was like free with gold on Xbox, but it was really amazing how well it was done. I mean, I don't really think it's a underdog, so to speak, but now that I've started playing Rocket League, that's so fun.
Yeah. That's pretty mainstream, but I'll allow it. Numa is one that I haven't heard anyone talk about, even though it was free with Games with Gold. I still have it to play myself.
Oh, dude, you should definitely pick it up. There's some really cool stuff, and the big awesome stuff is really in the Easter eggs of it.
Well, I have it installed. I do have it installed.
It reminded me of like a Stanley Parable.
Oh.
With a little bit more puzzle solving.
It looked like Myst in a way.
I wouldn't go that far. Myst was severely puzzle intensive and just brutal at times. This one's not as difficult, but it's definitely
it's Myst.
Definitely worth checking out.
Myst, let's say Myst Light.
Yeah, I would go with that.
Okay, that's up my alley. It looks like it'll be something fun to stream. When I was looking.
Oh, absolutely, and I beat that game in a setting. I got so hooked in on it, I beat it in a setting.
One sitting? Maybe that probably won't be the case for me, but that's saying something. How many hours roughly?
Maybe 6-8 hours. I was doing a lot of.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, that's a pretty solid game. Replay value good?
Really good, actually.
Yeah?
One other, I guess, sleeper, Gems of War.
Yeah.
Hands down, really solid match 3. Had to put that in.
Did you get to play Night Squad on Xbox Live?
I have it downloaded. I have not played it.
We should play that. That's another one that if you like Bomberman and kind of like a little party game. Yeah, it's right up there. That's another game that I think a lot of people missed. But yeah, Gems of War, that's been kind of our bread and butter on Xbox One and Android, iOS, Steam, all that stuff. So yeah, I'm a huge fan. One that also, I believe, did release 2015, I played a lot of, and I need to get back to Speedrunners. That definitely deserves.
Oh, dude, Speedrunners was amazing.
And Speedrunners is still kind of underground. I think once it hits Xbox One and it hits more of that mainstream audience, I think people are gonna really start talking about it more.
Yeah, I could see that.
I wish it would have crossplay. That's probably not gonna happen, but we'll see.
I don't know. I mean, Microsoft's trying to do a lot of crossplay stuff across a lot of different things.
Yeah, they are. They need to be more aggressive about it because they kind of. I've heard from some developers that they want too much exclusivity, and that's what kills off some of the opportunities for them.
Yeah.
I think they need to just share the pie a little more. But a few games that I've mentioned on and off a lot. I've mentioned a lot of Dungeon of the Endless. I've loved that game. I can't say enough about it. I won't say anything more about that. Satellite Rain. If you love XCOM and games like that, maybe you played random games like Operation Darkness or Spectral Force. These tactics style games, or Final Fantasy Tactics, Ogre Tactics, those kind of games. Satellite Rain, you gotta check it out. Or Old Syndicate. It's a really neat game, and it's got a very big cyberpunk kind of feel to it. Now, underdog picks that are kind of mainstream, but not really being talked about or not given enough credit. Yu-Gi-Oh! Legacy of the Duelist. Konami finally got something right, at least. So I think it's a really strong entry in overall deck building / TCG, CCG space. Really like this game, and it's kind of just snuck in there last year, and people didn't really talk about it. But I think it's a really good game, especially if you're a fan of Yu-Gi-Oh! And Rainbow Six Siege, my shooter of the year. I'm still curious about Halo 5. I'm not really interested in Call of Duty, but eventually I'll probably jump on the bandwagon again. Battlefront is great. CSGO is great. Battlefield is great. But give some love to Rainbow Six Siege. And it's a lot more depth than people give it credit for. Would you agree?
I have to interject one thing.
All right.
This Call of Duty, Black Ops 3.
Yeah.
Best Call of Duty in the last 3-4 years.
Really? I didn't enjoy the beta that
yes.
much.
Really, I'll put it this way. It has me so happy and enjoying it. I'm currently working with a group to potentially be heading back to the competitive Call of Duty scene.
All right. Because I skipped, personally, and my kids play it, but I skipped Ghosts and Advanced Warfare. Just wasn't my thing.
Both were really bad.
Yeah. I've seen them play. It looks all right, but not enough to spend money on it. So, all right. So, unfortunately, Call of Duty Black Ops 3 is not one of the games on sale, so I can't use my little gift certificate on it. So, that kills that. Rainbow Six Siege, however, is on sale. And GTA 5. These are all Xbox One versions I'm talking about. So I might have something there we could play, bro. Did you get Siege yet?
I didn't, actually. I once I picked up Call of Duty again, I completely ignored Siege.
Well, it's a different experience. It's $49.99 right now on Best Buy. This might be worth it. I'd love to play that with you. Yeah, I hear you. You're kind of spread thin on the shooters.
I mean, honestly, if I was gonna pick it up, probably would have done it yesterday. I think, although it's over now, Amazon had a 1-day sale.
Oh boy!
And it made Siege like $35.
Oh, darn it!
And I just kind of skipped over it. I mean, my time has been so deep into Black Ops, and it's so good.
I can't. I'm mildly curious. We always get sucked back into the Call of Duties. It's inevitable, as much as we hate them. But I can't justify $59.99. Not even $49.99. I just can't. Too many good games to play to justify it. But that recommendation does excite me. And Tiger Claw got a PS4, so now he has a PS4, Xbox One, and a killer gaming rig.
Nice.
I'm still Xbox One and PC all the way. People are like, why are you so against PlayStation? Like, I have all the games I want to play. That's as simple as it is. But,
yeah.
If you have a PS4, I won't hold it against you. We can still be friends. But we do have to wrap it up. Oolong, where can people find you?
Pretty much everywhere. Let's see. Twitter at F8TL Blades. Twitch.tv. I've been streaming some Black Ops 3. You'll find me there. Twitch.tv/F8TL_Blades. Of course, gamer tag on Xbox. If you guys ever want to hit me up, is F8TL Space Blades. So, I mean, there's a space in there. Pretty much it's all under the same heading for now. Might be changing soon. Like I said, we're going to see.
All right. Yeah, I'm Yogizilla everywhere. Add me on Steam, Xbox Live, Twitter, all that good stuff. But, we don't have time for the plugs. Just make sure you visit us at geekyantics.net. And Facebook, facebook.com/geekyantics. We have a new Facebook group for our Elder Scrolls Online people because we have around 200 members there now. So it's gotten so big that we need to move them off the Facebook page and to a little more tightly knit group, make it easy to communicate. Everyone's welcome to join us there if they're mildly curious about the game and what happens on that side of things. Some interesting discussions there just about MMOs in general. We share memes. It's fun. But with that, we'll see you in 2 weeks for the next tea time. And Oolong, you think you can make it? Try to make it, man. It'll be fun. It's not the same without you, man.
I'm definitely gonna try to make it at the next TWTT. Wow, see, English, not my friend. And I've got a whole nother podcast in 2 hours. This is
Yeah, so we gotta head out here. You get some coffee in you, run some laps, keep the blood flowing, and we'll reconvene. I'll be there cheering you guys on.
Man, I'm gonna get some coffee and try to play some Brawlhalla. Got to.
Yeah. Maybe I'll get in around 2. I gotta do the post-production stuff and whatnot. Let's get going. We'll see you soon. And I hope you enjoyed this tea time. And now for the music.
We thank you. We thank you for every crumb, biscuit and cake you bring to the table. Because Doctor Who belongs to all of us. What you bring to the timey-wimey tea time in your live chat participation, comments, likes, shares, tweets and voicemail, all of it means the world to us. Love, true love never fails. Do you like it? If you like what we're doing, well, tell us for God's sake. Shout it from the rooftops at geekyantics.net. Or call it in, 206-415-4987. That's 206-415-4987. That's it. Bless you. So long. And thanks for all the fish. But on, it won't be that long. Just a wee while. Because the timey-wimey tea time will be back. We'll return next Saturday with fresh insights, questions and epiphanies about Doctor Who. And heck yes, everything geek. Maybe same bat time. Absolutely the same bat channel. Every Saturday.
Tiny, whiny tea time.
Me gusta.